Generative Knowledge Interviewing, or GKI, is an integrative knowledge and learning model developed by Dr. Melissa Peet and her colleagues from the University of Michigan. GKI is a facilitated process that Peet's research says helps students identify, connect, synthesize, and demonstrate knowledge and skills they are gaining from all areas of life.
I would say that I was surprised at the depth of the conversations and the amount of new knowledge really that I gained from them, and really knowledge about myself and about how I think.
Lori Dietz, the director for the University Center for Writing-Based Learning, is a strong proponent for generative knowledge interviewing, a process that empowers students to realize their skills and strengths in their roles as peer writing tutors.
Generative knowledge interviewing works by having participants share stories. So it's through the stories of our experiences throughout our lives that patterns start to emerge.
To begin, students write down 3 work or life experiences to share with their group. These stories must showcase a time in which they felt challenged, enlightened, or learned something new about themselves. Next, students take turns fulfilling one of 3 roles: the storyteller, the interviewer, or the note-taker. In each of these roles, students share, analyze, and gain knowledge about themselves from the stories they tell. First, the storyteller shares each of their experiences in detail to the group. Then, the interviewer prompts the storyteller to fill in missing details, define key words, or elaborate on points that caused confusion or curiosity. Then the note-taker shares the patterns they observed within and across the stories, as well as any evocative imagery and language the storyteller may have used. Finally, the note-taker and the interviewer reflect back to the storyteller his or her specific patterns of talents, skills, capacities, and potential barriers or challenges.
What generative knowledge is doing is helping you understand, again, that tacit knowledge that you're bringing, what you're not aware. So if you can really start a new experience or working with a new group of people aware of your tacit knowledge and skills, that can really go a long way in helping to create cohesion, community, a shared understanding of each other's motivations, and you'll work more productively together in the long run. One of the other reasons that I love generative knowledge interviewing is that it is so adaptable to many different contexts. I think it's most traditionally used in contexts asking for reflection, so we use it at the UP level a lot to help people develop their tutoring or administrative philosophies, and it works brilliantly for that. But you could also use it in a research methods course. We have workshops where we adapt generative knowledge interviewing to help people identify research questions and paths towards developing their literature reviews. We've used generative knowledge interviewing in resume building workshops to help people articulate specific talents that are associated with different experiences they have, whether through volunteering, jobs, internships, studies, and so forth. So it can take a lot of time. You could give it a full hour among the group of 3 that you have in each group. It could take 15 minutes. So it's really flexible depending on your context, your goals, and your needs as an educator.
One way students at DePaul use generative knowledge interviewing is at the University Center for Writing-Based Learning, where writing tutors engage in this process to develop their professional e-portfolio.
I think the note-taker is my favorite role because I like to underline the key words that you bring out in these stories, because you kind of find a pattern in the 3 stories that people tell. It's always linked by a similar vocabulary.
Well, all quarter long we've been working on being more aware of our values and trying to identify how our values influence our work. And so I think, this activity really helped us kind of identify how those values are influencing our work. And a lot of times that information or that kind of knowledge kind of lies below the surface, and so this activity kind of brings some of that up and lets us talk about it.
Some of the challenges or potential dangers to generative knowledge interviewing are really making sure that you inform the participants of exactly what's going to be happening before they start writing their stories. I've been in situations where that wasn't previewed, and so people wrote much more personal stories than maybe they were willing to share with other people. So you want to make sure that people are writing stories knowing they're going to have an audience, and that the audience could be anyone else in that room, And so that can help them make some decisions so that they're more comfortable with what they're sharing.
To learn more about generative knowledge interviewing and for additional resources, please visit the Teaching Commons website.